Friday the 15th of January and I'm outside Lichfield Cathedral this morning, where they've just opened their doors to start offering the over 80s and the vulnerable groups the COVID-19 vaccine. So this place, which has been a centre for pilgrimage, for Christian spirituality, for hope and healing for 900 years, is doing it in a different way this morning, as those who've been invited can gather here. They've been queuing since just before 9 o'clock this morning, and just after 9 the doors opened, and the Dean Adrian Dorber, reflected this feels almost like a medieval pilgrimage. People are here like they've always come, seeking something, and today they're seeking the vaccination that will begin to get us out of this terrible pandemic we've all been going through. So they're offering the Pfizer vaccine this morning. So inside the cathedral, I mean, people are queuing right up in double queues outside the front of the cathedral. Inside the queuing, and then we've got about 14 stations, each station manned with at least 2 medical staff, where they're giving the vaccine. So I spoke to a doctor, Islamic doctor, who told me that this was a moment of hope, and he was speaking well about the partnership that's been created between Lichfield Cathedral and the Primary Healthcare Trust, and using this building, which, as he described it, was a centre of community, in order to deliver the vaccine. I spoke to a nurse just after she gave her first vaccine to someone, and she spoke about her nervousness, not about the vaccine itself, but the weight of this moment. She'd given many vaccines in her time as a nurse, but this one felt different because of the weight of expectation and the freedom it's going to offer people as we begin, hopefully, to come out of this pandemic. The church has always been a place of hope and health and healing. Since its formation, Christians are called to offer hope and healing in the name of Christ, and here's a different way we're doing it. We're offering it in league, in relationship with science, and hopefully this is the beginning of our way out of the pandemic. So it's a really emotional day. I felt really emotional. People sort of arriving on sticks, being held up by relatives in wheelchairs. These are folk that haven't been out, many of them, since March, and they've come and stood in the cold waiting to get the vaccination that will offer them a little bit of freedom. The church is a place where people can find healing in mind, body and spirit. At the Guild of Health in St Raphael, we help resource churches to be hubs for healing for the whole community. So I couldn't help myself but come out and film this historic moment. Many churches around the country are doing this, but Lichfield Cathedral is the first cathedral. So it's great to be on the ground to record this day. And to look at a new way, a different way that the church can be a place of hope and healing. So an interesting thing that's come out of this pandemic, there's a report from the government called Keeping the Faith report, and during the pandemic the government has identified how well churches have worked with local councils in providing responsive help to communities in this time of need, particularly around mental health and particularly around food banks. So there's a moment where the church has been seen as a well-networked, agile organisation that can help. Of course, we don't do it as a third-party operator. We do it because we're called by Christ to care. So this is a moment of opportunity for the church, having been recognised as a place where health and healing can be offered on the ground, to understand why we're doing it. We're doing it because Christ asks us to do it. We're doing it because we care for people. We're doing it because we want people to flourish. But having been seen to be useful in the pandemic, what different ways, what more ways can we work together with our communities to offer healing and hope, but also to grow in the name of Christ. So Gillian Straine live from Lichfield Cathedral, where they're going to be, I'm not very good at the angles, queuing all day in a double queue in the freezing cold to receive their vaccination. A small glimmer of hope as we find our way out of this pandemic.